Hello and welcome to the 20th video ng Math 21 Review Series. For this video, we'll be discussing the definite integral and the fundamental theorems of calculus. So, konting review tayo. So, let's recall the definition for the definite integral. Medyo complicated siya, no? Pero, basically, yung sinasabi lang niya ay, if you consider this Riemann sum here, or basically the summation here. Okay, so tingin tayo dito. Yung sinasabi dito ay, well, given the assumptions na f is defined on this interval, then yung limit ng Riemann sums over partitions, these are the partitions we consider. Kapag nag-exist daw yung limit ng Riemann sum na to, we say that f is integrable on this interval AB. And yung limit na to, we call this the definite integral ng f of x dx evaluated from A to B, right? So basically what you can imagine is, for example, kung meron tayong function na let's say, I don't know, baka ganito yung itsura ng function. For example lang. And then we say na dito yung A, dito yung B. Basically yung sinasabi niya is, well, kapag integration, we know na we're talking about sums in some way. And you can think of it as like may partition siya dito. So we can think of them as composed of many rectangles dito. And yung ginagawa lang ng limit ay ginagawa niyo yung width ng partitions na yun to be as small as possible para naman accurate siya, di ba? If you can recall from your slide siguro, yun yung gusto niya sabihin. You want these to be as small as possible, and then your Riemann sum na to, ina-add lang niya. Kasi yung f of c sub I, or I'm not sure kung f of x sub I ba siya. Basta yung value ng function, yun yung height niya. Right? And ito, this is actually the change in x sub I, or yan yung width niya. Right? So gusto natin yung width to be approaching 0 para sobrang liit niya. So that kapag isum natin, parang smooth yung nakuha nating sum. So yung buong region na to yung nakuha nating sum. Okay? So in other words, you can just think of it, kung mas madali sa inyo, it's just basically the integral of this one. And we are more familiar with this naman. But at least you can get the intuitive notion kung saan nanggagaling yung definite integral natin. Okay? So may properties naman yung definite integral natin. We'll be discussing them here, slide. So kapag ibaliktad natin yung limits of integration, equal lang siya to the negative nung nabaliktad. From if same lang yung limit of integration, I mean yung upper and lower limits kapag same lang, 0 siya. You can think of it as like nasa isang point lang siya and parang super thin strip lang siya na negligible naman yung area. So like kailangan maging 0 na yung area niya. Or in other words, yung integral na should be 0. And kapag may constant tayo, it's just c times yung upper limit minus ng lower limit. A constant multiplied to the function, pwede lang ilabas yung constant. And then dito, yung sum ng integrals just, the integral of a sum is just the sum of the integrals. Okay? And of course, meron din tayo dito if meron tayong interval AB, tapos C is a value in between that interval. So between A and B yung C, pwede natin ipag-split into two parts. So from A to C muna, then C to B. Okay, equal lang to. And okay, first fundamental theorem of calculus. So importante yung result na to, no? Kasi ni-relate niya yung differentiation with integration. So sinasabi niya derivative ng isang integral, well, specifically ng integral na to is just f of x. So yeah, it relates the integral with its derivative. And this will be very important. Please remember this one. Gagamitin natin to sa activity mamaya. Yung derivative ng function na to, which is just, of course, the this function is the integral of some other function, and then g of x kailangan nasa upper limit siya, no? And this is just a constant a. So over the interval ab. So we let g of x, of course, be in this interval as well. Then yung derivative nito, sinasabi niya dito, yung derivative niya is just f of g of x. So itong function na to, yung gagawin mong input yung g of x na. Pero kailangan mo i-multiply yung g prime of x. Okay? So parang chain rule siya in some way. And yeah, try to remember that. So yung second fundamental theorem of calculus naman, basically, it defines kung ano yung definite integral. Ito yung usually na ginagamit natin palagi, no? So it's very, very important. So in other words, ito, kung yung f daw yung antiderivative, kung ito yung integral ng function natin, let's say capital F of x siya, usually, ganito natin sinusulat, evaluated at x equals a and x equals b. Ganon siya. So basically, equal lang siya dito. And yun naman yung ginagawa natin, no? Ganyan yung definite integral. So it's also a very, very important result. Okay? So yeah, it relates definite integration with its anti-differentiation. Okay, so let's have the first problem here. Integrate lang tayo. We'll try to evaluate this thing here. Try to think about it for a while, and we'll be discussing this in a minute. Okay, I hope na pinag-isipan niyo muna yung problem. So for this problem here, yung gagawin natin ay magsa-substitution tayo. We just need to choose the right substitution. In this case, we let the substitution be u, and u is equal to 1 plus square root of x. So para maging successful yung integration by substitution natin, let's find du as well. So derivative lang ng u na to, which is, of course, this is 0, and derivative lang ng square root of x, which is 1 over 2 square root of x. You can verify that. And para naman magamit natin yung substitution na to, we'll introduce, i-adjust natin yung integrand natin so that papasok yung du. So, yeah, we'll be introducing a factor of 2 square root of x para mapasok natin ito mamaya. So, may kita nyo dito. Okay. So, notice na from this one, nag-multiply tayo ng 2 square root of x and divide by 2 square root of x. Again, these two will cancel out. They're just 1. So, this is valid. Pero yung ginagawa nito, this whole thing can be rewritten as du, right? Kasi du is equal to this thing here. Okay? And so, after nun, you'll notice now we can introduce the substitution as well. Okay? So, we have yung 2 lalabas lang kasi constant siya. We have square root of x times this here. And we notice na yung u natin, remember u is 1 plus the square root of x. So we can find these values here. So u minus 1 is square root of x, and negative of u, this one. And then, of course, if we add 2 to both sides here, makuha na natin yung isa pa. So we're trying to express everything here in terms of u para mawala lahat ng x. Okay? So doing that, kailangan din natin mabago yung limits of integration kasi yung limits of integration natin with respect to x pa siya. So kailangan relative to u. So kapag 0 yung x, yung u natin is just 1. So next, kapag 1 naman yung x natin, so forgive the typo dito, this should be u. U is equal to 1 plus square root of 1 or 2. Okay? So yung new limits of integration natin, instead of 0 and 1, magiging 1 and 2 na to. Okay? So, ayusin natin yung integral natin. So, ito na yung meron tayo. So, let's just expand the numerator. Divide them by u para naman term by term lang yung pag-integrate natin. And doing so, we'll have this anti-differentiation here. So, derivative ng negative u plus 3 minus 2 over u is this one. And then we evaluate from 1 to 2. So, substitute 2 here. And then, ito yung first, minus yung expression na to where u is 1. Okay? And if you try to simplify that, we'll end up with our final answer, which is 3 minus 4 ln 2. Okay? So, take note that 2 over u yung derivative niya, or rather yung integral niya. If you try to integrate that, you'll get 2ln absolute value of u. Okay? Kasi special property yung 1 over u, yung integral niya. Okay? So this is our answer right here. So for the next problem, we'll consider this function, and then we'll try to find the value of capital F of 1. And for the second part, we'll try to find the derivative of this function. So at this point, you might imagine na gagamitin na natin yung fundamental theorems ulit. Okay? So try to think about it on your own, and we'll see mamaya kung paano siya i-solve. Okay, so I hope you guys thought about it and tried to solve the problem. Let's have the first one. So for the first one, we just want to find f of 1. So basically, we'll change all x to 1. So to do that, yeah, ito na yung function na i-consider natin. And I guess we'll introduce a substitution as well. We let u be equal to t cubed plus 1, which is a natural thing to do here. Kasi gusto natin na yeah, mapadali yung integration. So if we do that, yung du should be 3t squared. So derivative lang nito. And then, again, we're differentiating with respect to t here. And kapag yung t natin ay 1, this should be u is equal to 1 cubed plus 1 or 2. And then, kapag t naman natin ay 2, yung u natin ay 2 cubed plus 1 or 9. So yung integral natin, let's have 1/3 sa labas, pero 3t squared yung nasa loob. Kasi nga, gusto natin na may palabas yung du. So, gawin natin 3t squared to, pero we'll divide by 3 so that same pa rin naman, hindi yung magbabago. And then next, yeah, dito na magbabago yung limits of integration. And in fact, yung mangyayari kasi, ito, this will just be du. And then ito, maging u. Itong t cubed plus 1. And we'll just have du over u. And alam naman natin yung antiderivative niya, which is ln absolute value of u. Then multiply 1/3 to that. So evaluating at u equals 2 and u equals 9, we'll get this thing here, which we can simplify or express in another way as such. Okay? So it's just 1/3 ln of 9 over 2. All right? So for the next problem, gagamitin natin yung first fundamental theorem of calculus. So yun yung reason ba't in-emphasize ko yung sa recap kanina, no? So kailangan natin ma-switch yung order of integration kasi yung function na with respect to x or in terms of x, kailangan nasa upper limit siya. Okay? So ito, ipagpalit lang natin yung limits of integration. Magamit natin yung property from kanina. So ito ipagpalit lang natin and then gawin lang natin negative. So after that, we'll be substituting x cubed to the integrand and multiply by the derivative of x cubed. So in other words, okay, kapag ito yung f of t natin, remember, yeah, kapag ito yung f of x, tama ba? F of x, ito. Okay. Kung ito yung f of x natin, in terms of x naman to, sinasabi ng FFTC na yung f prime of x, equal lang pala siya to, well, ito yung nasa loob, let's call it f of t. Equal lang siya to f of g of x times g prime of x. Yun yung nasa theorem kanina, no? And then yung g of x natin is actually itong x cubed dito. So, this one is our g of x. Okay? So, try to recall that from the theorem. And hindi na natin kailangan mag-integrate actually. Kapag gamitin natin yung FFTC, mahahanap na natin kaagad yung f prime of x. So, doing that, makikita natin sa next slide. I-clear ko lang. Okay. So, ito, equal lang pala siya to the negative of Yung lahat ng t dito, papalitan lang natin ng x cubed. So we'll have, again, itong part na to, ito yung f of t natin. And then ito, this will be f of x cubed. Kasi ito yung g of x natin. Alright? So, linisin ko lang ulit. So, doing that, nag-substitute na naman tayo. We'll have this one here. Tapos, derivative ng x cubed will be 3x squared. So, we'll have that. And then, ayan. Makakuha na natin yung final answer natin by simplifying kung ano meron dito. So, we'll have negative 3x to the 8 over x to the 9 plus 1. So, ito yung answer sa second problem. Alright? So, that's it for this video. I hope that may matutunan pa kayo in the following videos. Okay? Thank you.